And we're back with Miss Paj YoungBlood, our Naturopath Corner. What do you have for us today, Miss YoungBlood?
Well, today I'm going to talk about better choices and cookware, Maxine.
Good. What do you have?
All right, well, first of all, I'm going to dedicate this show to my mom, who I think is the best cook on the planet and always used appropriate cookware. Now, I know some people out there are going to say, why are you going to talk about cookware? We're going to die anyway. If I had a nickel for every single person who said they were going to die anyway, I would be rich. But there is a huge difference between dying peacefully in your sleep or going into a nursing home for the last 3, 4, 5, 10 years of your life where possibly you can't think, can't see, can't talk, can't walk. I don't know about you, but I know what my choice is going to be. It is to make better choices. I'm also 25 years free of cancer. Do you see a halo on my head? Do you see a saint? A saint before my name here? Of course you don't. I'm 25 years free of cancer because I worked at it and I made better choices. Now, like for instance, one better choice is drinking out of a tin can or drinking out of a glass bottle. A good choice would be the glass bottle and not the tin can. And if you pour this into a glass, that does not remove the aluminum poisoning. It's still there. All right. Did you know that some researchers are saying that in 15 years, brain disease such as dementia and Alzheimer's is going to surpass heart disease and cancer? One of the reasons for that, I believe, is because people don't make good choices. And so if we make good choices, then we probably will not have that problem. Now, the last show we talked about green products and their importance on Alzheimer's patients and for ourselves. And one product is called Chlorella, and this helps to remove metal. So with that, I'm going to go on and let's talk about aluminum. Aluminum, and everybody's familiar with this, is present everywhere in our society. And if you notice, one of the first things I'm going to talk about that has aluminum in it is antiperspirants. And so antiperspirants means that you're not going to sweat. So your can will say antiperspirant and deodorant. So that will stop the smell and stop the sweat. What is sweat? It's getting rid of toxins in your body. So when you wear an antiperspirant, the reason it stops the sweat is because of the first ingredient is aluminum. So you're putting aluminum under your arm. If God wanted you to sweat, your sweat glands here are behind your knee, that's where they would be, but they're put right here next to your lymph nodes and next to your chest. A lot of medical researchers say that there is no correlation between breast cancer and antiperspirants, but you can do what you want. But as for myself, I am going to use a deodorant only, and I like Young Living. It's pricey, but this has lasted me for a year. So by not using the antiperspirant, that's one way of not putting another toxin in your body. Aluminum is also in our shampoos and our body care products. And you know, the largest organ of our body is, well, not that, but our skin. Our skin absorbs everything. So read your labels and make sure aluminum is not on your shampoo and skin care products. Aluminum also is in baking powders. Now, this particular baking powder is in a stainless steel can, and it is aluminum free. Again, this is a better choice. Aluminum also comes in some anti-acids, chemtrails, but we're not going to talk about chemtrails on this show, and some vaccinations, nor are we going to talk about that. Aluminum comes in buffered aspirin, toothpaste, and our tap water. So what happens when you have an overload of aluminum or metal poisoning? Well, first off, you're tired. You're tired all the time. You have bone and muscle pain. You have memory loss. And I don't know about you, but I want to remember who I dated when I was 20, and if they're not any good, then I'm not going to date them again. An overload of metal can also mess with our concentration, and you thought it was the other kind of pot, right? It will also mess with our intellectual function. It causes children to have behavioral problems. And one of the reasons a lot of our kids have ear infections is because the parents are not mindful of the amount of toxins that they put in their child's bodies. Ear tubes are very small. And if you clean up your act, the ear infections will probably go away because recent research says that antibiotics do absolutely nothing for that. The late, great Hannah Kroger, who opened one of the first health food stores in America, who carries a product line that will never be approved by the FDA, and I'm absolutely in love with it, teaches that Parasites nest in metal. You know, birds nest in pine straw and clippings and things like that. Parasites nest in metal. So when you happen to do a parasite cleanse, you do a metal cleanse with it. So most people will cook in aluminum. Okay, notice magnet does not stick to aluminum. Does not stick. So a lot of times if I'm out shopping, yard selling, or going to the thrift store, I will put a magnet in my pocket so I can pick up the appropriate pans for those people who are looking and not wanting to go to the store. The aluminum, when you cook with aluminum, what it does is it enriches your food with aluminum. Why not enrich it with spices? For instance, a better choice, when you take a beautiful baked potato and you're going to wrap it in tin foil and cook it, why don't you put that potato directly on the oven rack? And then you have this beautiful potato. Put margarine on it. I mean, don't put margarine on it. Put butter on it. Margarine is trans fat, and the reason that margarine is hard is it's bound together with the metal nickel, and that's another metal that you do not want to put in your body, because they're saying that in every single Alzheimer's patient's brain's lesions, there is traces of aluminum. Avoid it. You have better choices. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Teflon. Now this is a Teflon pan that actually my neighbor was using and has been using, and you notice that it has been scratched. All this little chipping and scratching, once it's scratched, the particles keep coming off and you're digesting that. The other thing is when this pan heats up, there's fumes that come off of it. So a little bit of history about Teflon. It was invented in 1930 by DuPont. Well, then in 1960, the FDA approved it. It took them 30 years. Can you imagine? But anyway, in the year 2004, DuPont was sued by the people in Virginia and Ohio in a class action suit. They are contending that DuPont, when they were making the Teflon pans, they contaminated the water. Those people won $100 million. DuPont later acknowledged that when you cook a Teflon pan to a certain heat, there are fumes that come off of it, and these fumes can kill birds, or any birds in the house that are your pets, but also you can catch you will have a disease or a sickness called polymer fever fumes. And so when you're smelling the Teflon pan, it will cause you to get sick, and those symptoms resemble a cold. I don't think that I have no aluminum in my kitchen, and I have no Teflon in my kitchen. And what I don't understand, folks, and this is going to be a very controversial statement, is people will say they love their children, and people will say that they are against abortion. But then when I walk into their kitchen, they are using aluminum and Teflon to cook for their children, and what they're doing is slowly killing their children. I do not understand this. Now, if you're going to use aluminum, like my mom would say, moderation, okay, use it once or twice a year for that holiday meal. If you've got to make 50 pumpkin pies, no one's going to say anything about using aluminum. Just don't use it all the time. So some better choices here would be stainless steel. Notice, this is heavy. Feels like it already has a pot of collards in it. This is going to stick to that pan. This is very heavy, and I use this all the time. This is safe for you. The other thing that would be safe for you is a wok, and this is carbon steel. Just make sure that once you clean it, dry it out, and oil it a little bit so it won't get rusty. But this is very good for you, and again, a magnet will stick to it. This is enamelware. Again, a magnet sticks to it. This is safe for you. This is just a ceramic dish. This is very safe for you. Of course, cast iron. My mother would make the best cornbread in this, and a lot of people say, well, you know, everything sticks in it. It's not Teflon. Well, don't be so impatient. If you wait till your food browns before you turn it, it will not stick. And if you happen to burn something in this pan, all you have to do is clean it out, leave it on the stove, let it heat up, and the burnt particles will separate from this pan. Just make sure afterwards, dry it really well, and then oil it. Then you have seasoned this pan, so when you do make that cornbread, it will pop right out. Another good choice to use is glass. And of course, my favorite is a bamboo steamer, and it comes in layers. So you can put vegetables here like your potatoes and carrots, put cauliflower here. You can do fish, you can do shrimp, and just steam it, and this is very safe for you. We are what we put in our bodies, and most people do not realize that. This concludes our show today, and I want you to remember in every day and every way, you are getting better and better and better. Remember that you have to do research on everything. I want you to research everything that I say. Go to Google, go to seelusty.com. I don't care where, but do research on everything I say, everything your medical doctor says, all the side effects on the pharmaceutical drugs, everything about herbs. Do your research. Make no one the master of your body, not unless you do it for love. And remember, God helps those who helps themselves. Have a blessed day. Thanks.